Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the No Fudd Zone podcast. This is just where we get together once a week here, and I and some of my regular viewers, we discuss the topics that everybody wants us to talk about. We're joined today by Johnny Mandrick, Scorch, and Welper, as usual. As usual, Welper was late, so we had to wait for Welper, as always. But tonight, we're going to be answering your questions. Let me see if we got any questions over here to get us started. Edgar Cortez says, today in England, there was a mass stabbing with 11 victims, 1 victim in critical condition and 6 are hospitalized. I thought of you because the anti-gunners demonize the tool, but a crazy person can injure and kill many people with other weapons besides a gun. And that's a point that's true everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world, it's got really high violent crime rates and murder rates. A lot of them don't have guns, except for like maybe the warlords and stuff. But I always ask people the question, if you were sitting on a bench in the mall, which would you rather happen? Would you rather the garbage can next to you explode because someone put a compression bomb in it? Or would you rather someone run in somewhere and start shooting? I would much rather someone run in and start shooting because I can fight back against that. I can be prepared for that. There ain't nothing I can do about a bomb going off right next to me. I'm dead before I even know what's happening. But people don't seem to understand that they've been so taught that the guns are the problem, when really the guns are the solution to the problem usually, not the other way around. But everybody else, anyone have thoughts on that other than just me?
Yeah, I read the story as well today, and the thing I always
about the stabbing, and they don't care about the Europeans getting stabbed.
Well,
what was one of the things that you all said was in the news we needed to cover today?
Well, I wanted to talk about the food stamp
Is anybody
shutdown.
here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I turned off
Can
my
you hear
volume.
me?
Oh, there now.
Oh, good. Yeah, you couldn't hear the first thing I said about Edgar Cortez. Oh, his question.
No, I could go ahead. I turned my volume off because it was giving me alerts, and then I forgot I can't hear you all.
Yeah, to Edgar Cortez's point, I did hear about that story in England in the train, and the first thing I thought about is if that's a crowded commuter train and you've got a gun, there's a risk for collateral damage, and how much risk is acceptable if you're using your weapon in self-defense to stop a stabbing?
I would still. I mean, I don't know about most people, but if we're on, like, say, the Max train in downtown Portland, because I ride the Max every now and then, or I used to when I go places. I wouldn't have a real hard time shooting someone close range with a gun and not having a lot of collateral damage. It seems like most of the time it wouldn't be all that hard. It's not like we're packed in like sardines or anything.
Yeah. Well, I know in New York City they often are, and in London, which is comparable to New York City, if not bigger, they are in some at least some of the time. So you got to be mindful of your backstop.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't ever let fear of something like that stop me from action, because I've always said, like, and I did a video where I did a little animation where someone breaks in and the guy's going, he's got a knife and he's going for a baby in a baby carriage. And there's people running around in the background. And I'm like, do you not take the shot because you might hit someone in the background, because he's definitely going to kill the baby in the baby carriage? That's a definite. Yeah. There's a small chance you might hit somebody else, and it's a small chance. And in that case, to me, it's like, why are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off behind the bad guy and not doing anything? But your chance of over-penetration, that's something you shouldn't worry about at all. You're not going to over-penetrate. You might miss and hit somebody in the background, but chances of hitting someone in the background is very slim. The chance of that person killing that baby right there is almost 100%.
So. Yeah, and I believe that's why it's recommended that we carry jacketed hollow point when we're in public.
Well, except in some places, they're not allowed to carry hollow points anymore.
Like New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, so. And what was one of the other topics someone said was important today we need to get to? You all said there was a lot of stuff in the news. I don't watch the news.
I wanted to discuss the 42 million people being removed from SNAP and what a problem I believe it is.
Well, they're not being removed from SNAP.
They
just aren't paying SNAP, although the judge I thought the judge did a pretty interesting thing where he praised Trump for his fast and decisive response and then told him, you need to pay this shit out by the end of Monday.
Yeah, because they're like, it's in the law. The money was appropriated by Congress. You're choosing not to use it by pretending you're not allowed to, when it clearly says that's what it's for.
Which has got no weight because he's got no trouble declaring an emergency to spend or do whatever else he wants.
Yeah, I know. Anytime.
So, and it's funny because even the people I see that are still kind of Trumpish, they're not falling for this. You know what I mean? It's, they try half-heartedly to blame the Democrats, but at the end of the day, he could just do it.
Yeah, he could just do it. They could do something, do a temporary referendum or something. Congress could do that. I mean, they could come back right now and do that. But Mike Johnson also knows they would also get the Epstein vote put forward. So he can't come back right now.
There's going to be long-term consequences for this. Like for whoever's running on the Republican ticket, they're going to be grilled by, whoever interviews them and they'll say, why didn't you speak out against this when all this was happening?
You can expect what'll be interesting is to see whether you see a 180 or not on it, just based on the fact that next week is when people are going to start finding out what the increase to their Affordable Health Care Act premiums is going to be.
Yeah,
and
that would compound.
If you're not on the Affordable Health Care Act and you think you're fine, no, your premiums are going to go up too.
Yeah, if you've
the
got
insurance company is going to be like, oh, well, we have to pay y'all more now because the government's not. So yeah, we have to charge you more.
Yeah, and some places I guess already know, because my great nephew's mother, I guess her insurance that she was getting provided to her through her work was because of the way it was done, she was paying like $200 a month, and now she's going to be paying $450, which is like 100 and something percent increase, 125% increase.
Good Lord.
So that's quite a big increase. And I saw that Alaska is one of the places getting hit the hardest. I saw some of their premiums were going up like 800%.
Well, that's the thing. They're going to lose Alaska totally because all of this stuff is just going to kill Alaska. Now, overall, does Alaska matter? With the redistricting that's been done, they've probably made up for Alaska.
Yeah.
Alaska has such a high cost of living anyway. This is going to be crippling to a lot of people there.
Well, that's why Trump, called for the redistricting, because he knew they were going to lose seats in certain states that were being hit really hard by the tariffs, etc. So they had to try to make those up. But unfortunately, a lot of the forecasts I've seen on the new maps are saying these might hurt them more than help them. Because a lot of the Republican places they lump together with big chunks of Democratic counties are anti-Trump now. So even though they're Republican, they're not pro-Trump.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting month.
Yeah, and then we'll have the midterms coming up in 2026. You can be certain that this issue will come up then.
Hey, we just got a new Patreon member, Groundberg.
Whoa, hey, Groundberg.
Hey.
He paid a year in advance, too. So
excellent.
And remember, everybody, we are now doing Toy Guns for Tots 2025. It's the first week of it now. If you want to go over and donate, go over to my website, tympistolproject.com. For every $20 you donate, you do get entered into the drawing. We're going to have a lot of really nice prizes. We haven't really determined exactly what they all are yet. But it's well worth it to help a kid in need. Every year kids ask for toy guns for Christmas, and a lot of them are in need situations, and they're relying on these charities, Toys for Tots, etc. Those groups won't accept toy guns or distribute toy guns. So we partner with another group that will. We distribute them all the way from Washington down to, I know they've gone as far as Alabama, wherever they're needed. Because, when you live in a state that's fairly affluent,
Mhm.
A lot of people give stuff at Christmas. So you end up, and I've seen this happen with, Shop with a Cop and stuff. You end up with like, oh, we had a space for 30 kids, but we're going to have to spend it all on 12 of them because we didn't get enough kids in need. In affluent cities and counties, that happens a lot, and states, but then there'll be other states that have nothing. So the group I partner with, they ship to states where there's more need when we don't have as much need here. So they go all over the country. I know they've gone as far as Alabama. So if you want to help make a kid who wants that new Nerf gun, that new laser tag gun, the new toy gun, happy this Christmas, go over and donate. We will try to make this year the biggest year yet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I have to say, when I was a kid, one of my favorite toys that I ever received at Christmas was a battery operated MP5 toy gun.
The battery operateds were a little after, I was a little kid. We didn't have a lot of battery operated guns. We had some, but not a whole lot. We mostly had cap guns and stuff like that. I think tomorrow for our shooting the shit, I'm going to do a what was your favorite gun as a child?
Oh, yeah. That'll be neat. Yeah, as Bass Pro Shops, free toy guns. They're kind of on the pricey side.
Yeah, that the only place you can really get around here is like Sportsman's Warehouse and stuff like that. You can't even
they sell the same kind.
Well, they sell like replicas and little battery powered guns and actual like revolver cap guns and stuff. If you go to Target and buy toy guns, like we get the what do you call them, the airsofts and the Nerfs and stuff like that, but you can't really find like, here's a cap gun.
Yeah.
They don't really carry them. You can't find like, here's a toy battery operated M16 or anything like that.
Yeah, and I like even like the toy blunderbuss that is made of wood and metal.
Mm-hmm. Well, Caden had those, and that's because I went and got them at like Sportsman's Warehouse and Gander Mountain, places like that. They carry them, but they're like the only places that do. The only thing I wouldn't let him have is I wouldn't let him have an airsoft gun that looked like a real gun.
Yeah.
And it used to piss him off. I was like, no, it's got to look like a toy. It's got to have the orange end on it. He wanted a black one. I'm like, I'll get you a clear one or a black one, any one you want, but I'm not having you get shot by the police around here because your gun looked real and they're fucking cowards.
And of course, he wasn't alive in 1987 when that tragedy happened where the cop shot the kid with a laser tag gun.
No, or the kid that was sitting on park bench in was it 2015, and the police
in Cleveland.
Yeah, when they slid up into in their squad car, literally slid up into the grass, jumped out, and started shooting at a kid with a toy gun.
Yeah, that was Tamir Rice, and that was in Cleveland. Yep. And do you know what started the whole thing? Some frightened old lady said, "There's a boy walking up the street with a gun in his hand," and the cops overreacted. Yeah. So bad info there.
Well, that's why I'm saying that's why you got to get. When police take these calls, they still should start being held accountable if they don't get relative information. Like when that guy at the store here the other day said that someone called in about me open carrying. He was like, well, the police just called me and said, are we having a problem? And they said no, because I'm sure the police, when whoever thought they were doing a good thing, calling and saying someone went into the store with a gun, the police probably said, well, were they carrying it in their hand? Was it in on their hip in a holster? Were they waving it around? So I'm sure they asked some questions because all they did was call the store and say, hey, are y'all having a problem? And they said no.
Yeah. And you see, this is why so many people decide to put some kind of badge on their outside the waistband holster.
Who's just got so
that was me. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
even though it's I was going to say, even though it's not a law enforcement badge, they'll still put that on there just to kind of give the general public a sense of, hey, I'm allowed to be carrying, because the public is so ignorant.
And
I don't agree with that. If you are not a police officer, you should not get a badge. You should not have a badge on anything, because too many of these jackasses start flashing that around and acting like they're cops.
Yeah.
But if it's just
I agree with that, and I've always been one of the ones that like, what kind of jackwad that carries around a concealed carry badge? But then again, I'm like, well, maybe if you had one on your holster or something,
Yeah, that's what
maybe
I'm
people
saying.
wouldn't carry, or if you had one on your belt next to your holster, even if it was a concealed carry badge, people might not call the cops on you. You know, if you're going to
Yeah.
open carry. So I can see where they could probably be a good thing. I've always been very judgmental of them, but you know, that doesn't mean I'm right, but I still kind of am.
Yeah,
And
for that
everywhere
purpose,
in
I agree. Someone's gonna, if they see it, but then they see a badge, they're not gonna know it's a real badge or not. So they're gonna, oh, okay, it's a cop, so I won't
Yeah.
say anything.
and see, none of us are allowed to impersonate a law enforcement officer anyway. So that's on that
No.
person. If they decide to break the law, then they are going to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, and you can get fake badges online if you want to impersonate
Oh
a
yeah.
cop. But I don't know why anybody would want to impersonate a police officer. But
No.
usually they're up to no good beyond that. That's usually an ends to a means. It's not just they want to be a.
Well, we had up here near Seattle, we had a case where a guy was doing that, impersonating a police officer. He got caught because obviously there's something mentally wrong with this guy. He got
Yep.
caught because some cops had somebody else stop. There was something going on, and he pulled over and offered to help. And the first, and he had he was decked out, but when you looked at it and looked at the cops, you could see subtle differences.
Yeah.
Right, and that's how the cops figured out in a minute, maybe two at most. Like, wait a minute, this guy is not legit.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I've actually seen more often when people talk about guys going out and pretending to be cops. It's either usually it ends to a means. They're actually trying to either abduct someone or like something like that, or there's someone like you just said that's not quite right, and those guys are usually out, like you said, trying to do something good. They're trying to be like, look at me, I'm a cop and I'm helping. I'm a good guy. So it's not a whole lot of people doing bad shit pretending to be cops, because usually you're either crazy or you're trying to do something else specific, and pretending to be a cop, you know, facilitates that.
Yeah, and all over the U.S., when you see plainclothes people with a holster and a badge on the holster, they could be some type of a peace officer. They might be a game warden, or somebody that's not regular law enforcement, but still has the authority to make an arrest. So that factors into it.
Limited authority to make arrests.
Yeah, yeah. Like I see Fish
Well,
and
police have
Wildlife all the
limited
time.
authority to make arrests too.
Yeah, they got to be in their jurisdiction.
Yeah. And they got to have calls.
Yeah.
What was it Welper was saying he was wanting to talk about tonight that he asked if I knew about?
They're reported on Friday. I don't know, depending on exactly, I guess, how you want to look at it and how it actually works legally. The Air Force's P320 issue ended, I
Oh,
guess.
Yeah.
we're back on this again, huh?
Oh no, this is
Well, I think it was something that maybe people were waiting to hear about, like what actually occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
they gave
original report of the gun going off on its own
Oh boy.
was the report that was given that was a false report.
Mhm.
So that's how people knew that. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it was just people freaking out about it. But two airmen, neither of which were the ones that were holding the gun, have been charged or pled guilty. And I guess punished. It didn't sound like very much punishment for lying about a homicide to me.
That's
But
very serious.
the original guy that had the gun, and as far as we know, shot the airman that died, killed himself on October 8th. As far as they know, they're still investigating that. He was found dead in his place of confinement.
Okay, so someone had made a report about a shooting that never occurred, and then another person actually shot someone. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. Someone with a P320 was doing something stupid, and he shot one of his fellow soldiers and killed them. And then I guess he and two other soldiers made up a lie about how the gun went off on its own, because people were like, and that could happen. Yeah. So they used that to craft a lie, which was, to anybody that's an actual investigator who knows guns don't go off on their own, figured out that was a lie, and they arrested the actual murderer and the people who supported his story.
And the
Yeah,
320 was a convenient scapegoat.
Yes.
right. So allegedly, the guy who did the shooting was horsing around, put the gun to this guy's chest, and accidentally pulled the trigger.
Right.
So these other guys hear the gunshot, they come running in, and he's like, "Hey, there was an accident. Da 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 da. Listen," and he convinced them that the story is I had it. I slammed my duty holster down, and the gun went off and shot him.
Oh boy.
And immediately, just from listening to that, you're like, how high was that table, and where was the person sitting? I mean, so
Yeah.
the two guys who went along with the story each got demoted,
Mhm.
10 to 15 days confinement.
Mm.
One of the guys, to their barracks or whatever, or wherever they confine them. One of the guys got another 20 days of base confinement. Both were fined about $500.
That's a slap on the wrist.
Well, I guess they could make the argument, though, that we didn't actually witness it, so we just believed what he told us. So we were supporting him because we believed what he told us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you knew anything, if you got any brains, you knew that wasn't true. That wasn't even really possible. So that's why they're getting in trouble for not just being stupid, I guess.
And the other thing is they may have cut some sort of plea deal. Right.
Yeah.
Well, look, we weren't in the room. This is, we'll tell you what really happened if we just get the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the Air Force wants this to go away as fast as anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I hadn't seen the story that actually happened, but
yeah, it's been pretty big with some of the other gun channels. So they're playing up on that, but they're still subtly insinuating that there's something wrong with the 320.
Yeah,
the latest is they made a design decision not to put a dongle on the trigger, and that's the whole problem.
Well, that is the problem, but it's not the problem with the gun. It's the problem with people can't handle a gun without a dongle on the trigger because they can't keep the fingers off the fucking trigger.
The dongle doesn't do anything.
Not if you touch the trigger.
Dumbest argument anybody is making. It's been around for a few years. But
well, I can say this, that when you research most negligent discharges where there's an injury, it's almost always Glock. Because they control, but that's to be expected because they control a major portion of the market, and the number of negligent discharges that result in injury pretty much coincides with how much of the market they control. But then some higher, just of guns of that type. And that makes sense. But if the dongle actually did anything, then you probably wouldn't see that happening. In most cases, the dongle does nothing. I've done videos where I've shown that I can make the gun go off in a pocket or whatever, even with a dongle, just by putting pressure in the right spot. So, and most of the time when people have an ND, it wasn't because, something touched the side of their trigger. It's because their finger goes on the trigger by mistake.
Yeah.
When they're drawing, when they're holstering or whatever, or something else gets between the trigger and, the holster when they're putting it in the holster. So 90% of the situations where you're going to have an ND, a dongle's not going to do any good because it's going to be activated.
Yeah. Well, you got to make sure that barrel is downrange before your finger's ever on the trigger. I don't understand why these individuals have a problem with that. I've never had a problem with it.
Well, they like to walk around and make up reasons why it's best to walk around with your gun pointed at your dick. So they have to pretend that, that rule doesn't matter all that much as long as the trigger's safe.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I bet for half of these guys, if I went and we did some digging, we would find where they complained about the dongle.
Yeah.
We don't need this. If you just keep your finger off the trigger, this wasn't needed. This is extra garbage. I know I don't like them. The guns I have that have them, by the time I'm done shooting, my finger doesn't like the way that thing feels. Well, and I know people who have disabled them.
I've seen so many people that have gun channels out of one side of their mouth talk about how they would never carry a gun that had a manual safety, and then defend his appendix carry by saying it's 100% safe if you've got a manual safety on your carry gun. And I'm just like, well, aren't you someone who said you would never carry a gun with a manual safety? But then it's like, you better carry a gun with a manual safety because you want to appendix carry. I'm like, get it straight. Find an opinion and stick to it.
Yeah.
There's no money in that.
Appendix 2, right?
No, you got to be able to sell what you got to sell next if you want to make money in the gun industry right now, which which is like with the Glock thing going on now. I'm like, I can't believe some people are actually selling the idea that you better get your Glocks now, because the differences are going to be so minor in the new Glocks, just so minor. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever in the function of the gun. And this whole rushing out to buy them now before they're gone is crap. There's already so many of them. It's not going to matter. It's not going to make a bit of difference once it's done, once they're discontinued. The market is so saturated with Glocks anyway. There's enough for anybody who ever wants one out there right now. And the new ones are going to be no real difference between them. So they're not going to become collectible. They're not going to become more valuable. They're not going to be more desirable. I mean, what type of moron would go out and say, well, I want an old Glock, so I'm going to pay $1,200 for it, when they could get 2 Walther PDPs for that? You know, it's just not that market's not going to exist, that high priced aftermarket. And I said that in a forum the other day, and someone said, well, I bet no one thought anacondas were going to be really, or pythons were going to be really expensive either. I was like, pythons were only expensive because they stopped making them entirely. They didn't just make a slight change to them. When they did release the new ones, which do have a slight change to them, it killed the python secondary market. And the reason they were valuable in the first place is because there were very few of them made. And a lot of them broke or got damaged or thrown around because no one thought they were special at the time. So they were scarce and you couldn't get them anymore. Glock is never going to be scarce and you can still get them. There's just going to be a slight change to them. So that's just like saying, well, the Gen 3 Glocks are worth 5 times as much now because they are different than the Gen 4s. No, that's never happened, because there's no scarcity. There's no demand. There's nothing that they do that the new ones won't do. So there's nothing there to drive up the value or the price, and people are just stupid.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that there would be a substantial price increase on the V series, but Glock says that is not the case.
Yeah. It's just stupidity. It's just trying to sell shit because that's what they're told to do. Sell, sell, sell. Got to keep that. People talk about real estate bubble. We're living in a gun bubble right now that's massive. The firearms market has been expanded to such an unnatural size through fear mongering and stuff like this, and just blatant, better get it now before you can't kind of stuff, that it's unsustainable. And the gun manufacturers know that. They know there's no way to maintain this unless they maintain a market of fear. So that's one of the reasons we're in the situation we're in now.
It's funny, from the chat, Christopher, he's read an article. A guy said he bought 10 Glocks because he knows they're going to go up in value.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
They're not going to go up in value. It's the same people who bought, I bought 50 magazines, 50 30-round AR mags because I know they're going to go away. And then they lost their shirts later because they couldn't resell them for what they bought them for, much less more.
Yeah,
I had to buy a case of them from a family member who did that, who bought case after case of them and said, these are going to be worth a fortune. And then when he found out 2 years later they weren't worth what he paid for them, I had to buy a case from him so he didn't lose his fucking house.
Yeah, I could just imagine people saying, well, I have this Glock that could hypothetically be converted into an automatic weapon, and so I'm really cool. I think that's part of the appeal. They want to have that original Glock just so they can tell their friends, hey, hypothetically, if I had a Glock switch.
Because when the NFA gets repealed, I'll be able to turn this into an automatic weapon.
Well, if the NFA gets repealed, you'll be able to buy a better automatic weapon.
Oh, yeah.
At like no cost over what a regular gun costs, because it doesn't really cost anything to make a gun fully automatic. It's not really like it's far more expensive. In fact, it's harder to make a gun not go full auto than it is to make one go full auto. I know a lot of people don't understand that. They think that there's some special mechanism that has to make it go full auto. No, it is harder. Any gun designer will tell you one of the hardest things is, how do you make it to where it only fires once when you pull the trigger? that you don't end up slam firing the whole magazine. So it's kind of the opposite way than what most people think. It's not hard to make a gun fully automatic. It's hard to make it semi-automatic.
Yeah, and I've seen those Glocks converted just in like demo videos, and it terrified me. I would hate to have so little control over the weapon in my hand.
Well, that's what it's like. I mean, I've shot some little fully automatic weapons in my day, little Uzi type things and stuff, and they are nothing that I would ever want to have to try to hit something with.
Oh yeah, and the Tech 9 is the same way. The DC Tech 9. Oh.
Well, it's like people always say, like, why can't I get an Uzi? And I'm always like, well, why would you want a fucking Uzi? Those things are the most useless thing in the world. It's just like, why don't you just get a machine that shoots $20 bills at people? Because, you're just as likely to harm them because you're not going to hit them with an Uzi and it's going to cost as much. So why would you want one?
Same, people watch too much TV, too many movies, and think that's how things work.
Yeah, they watched the A-Team and Chuck Norris and all that. Yeah. The Uzis looked cool back then.
Hey, that's why I've got my Mini 14 is the A-Team.
Yeah.
So don't be slamming the A-Team. They were excellent shots. I don't think in that whole show.
They were the original stormtroopers.
Yeah, no one ever got hit.
Yeah.
But they missed on purpose. So because they didn't really want to hit anybody. So it was like, I think in all the years of watching that show, I don't know if I ever saw anyone get shot. And I saw more people just walk away from flipped over cars, even like Jeeps and stuff, than I'd ever thought was possible.
Yeah. And when a vehicle blew up, nobody was inside of it. Very convenient.
Well, that's how it was. I mean, back in that time frame, the 60s, the 70s, that, it was okay to show that stuff as long as nobody got hurt.
Yeah, it's like every time you saw a fighter plane get shot out of the sky, there had to be the obligatory scene of the guy in the parachute coming down afterwards.
Unless the guy was going down on purpose.
Yeah. He got out, then he's on his way.
And there was never
the funny part about the A-Team is that they wrote that into the story. That they weren't killing anybody.
Yeah, that they always intentionally missed. So they were very good. That's the thing people don't appreciate. You got to be really good to be in the situations they were in all the time and just do things like shoot guns out of people's hands and stuff like that, but never actually hit anybody. Yeah. That's another thing. I've seen more guns shot out of hands in movies.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy just goes, not like it didn't break every bone in his fucking hand or send shrapnel into his face or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty bad if the gun got shot. Yeah.
There is one time, someone mentioned that there was an episode when Mr. T got shot and then had a blood transfusion, but that was like the A-Team didn't shoot anybody. He got shot. It was part of that was plot armor to get that whole. He got the blood from Murdoch.
Yeah, and he hated Murdoch.
Let's see here. Let's see if we got any questions coming in. I'm trying to find my damn list here. Hold on. I haven't been paying attention. I've been listening. There we go. Edward Howerton chimed in here and see what he said. Have you seen the new Burris Fast Fire E? Unbelievable value for the money. Have to order one. PSA had them on sale for like $140. Looking forward to mounting it on an XDM Elite 10mm. I have not seen the Burris Fast Fire E. Seems like that's a good price. I always worry though. I'm one of these people that has fallen into the trap of if it's not at least $300, it's probably garbage. Mm-hmm. And I know there's no real reason for that other than that's the perception they want you to have. But I find myself falling for that. If I go look at something and I'm like, what, 200? That must not be a good red dot. And I move on. But they're probably just fine.
Well, it's like you used to tell us about High Points. It's a quality firearm for the price.
For the price, yeah. John Bush. He just donated to Toy Guns for Tots, as did Salvatore Verga also. Paul Garza also donated to Toy Guns for Tots. So remember, everybody, if you want to donate to Toy Guns for Tots, head on over there. TYMPpistolproject.com. And John Bush also chimed in again and says $23 for shipping off a $25 coffee mug. Easier to donate $20 straight up. Yeah, that's
Wow.
Why is it $23 for shipping on a coffee mug? It's usually like $7.
I
Where
guess
the
the
fuck do you live?
USPS is going bankrupt.
I don't know. I think they ship most
Depends
of that
on where
stuff.
he's sending it. If he's out of the country, if he's not in the U.S.
Yeah.
But the coffee mugs are expensive to ship. I don't know why, but they
Good
are.
Lord.
They're not that expensive usually, but it's like those metal signs I made. You know, you could buy the metal sign for 20 and then they wanted another 20 to ship it. I was like,
Good
what
Lord.
the fuck? And it's
The
just
size.
a flat piece of aluminum.
Yeah, but it's going to be the length and width, not so
Yeah.
much the thickness. And then the coffee mugs, just because they're that box.
Their box. Yeah, they're not actually a letter or anything.
So
Well, I'll tell you.
And I have nothing to do with that. I don't get to charge shipping or anything on anything. That's how I think they make their money.
Well, that's how they make their money. They're doubling their shipping charges easily.
I was going to say that's what keeps the brick and mortar stores in business, their shipping costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I hate when I buy something, and this happens every time. You buy something online, and say you buy something for $20, and it's another $10 fucking shipping, and then you get it, and the postage on it clearly says $3.23.
Yeah.
Well, but they're getting you for the handling, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, you ran a business, right? You've got to pay somebody. You have to buy the packing material and have that there. Then you have to package it, right? You have to have somebody package it. So by the time they go through all that, and then they got to make money.
I think we got a couple of orders over here. I want to read the names of people who ordered the merchandise today, just for sake of it. Rick Dot got himself a Kitty Kitty Bang Bang shirt and a No Fudd Zone shirt. He should have come on the No Fudd Zone since he bought himself a shirt. Brian Huff, I think Brian Huff bought the first of the Toy Guns for Tots 2025 merch. He got the car magnet, and also Andrew Avila. He got the Toy Guns for Tots t-shirt. He got 2 of them. So we got a couple more sales there for Toy Guns for Tots today. So thanks everybody for who did that. How much time we got left? We still got 13 fucking minutes left.
We got plenty to talk about. Or at least I do.
Well,
I was just going to interject something about the No Fudd Zone. It's funny how many people don't know what FUD means in terms of the gun community, and I've had to explain to a number of people.
Well, they think it's people who like revolvers and shotguns. It's got nothing to do with what you like.
No, well, that's the thing. When you go with FUD, you think of Elmer, and you think it's just, well, the guy only hunts, and that's all he's just worried about his shotgun. And that's not really. I mean, the theory is a FUD just only cares about his. I have my shit that I want, so I don't care.
And the FUD came from the NRA back when they didn't want to get real political. They were just like, well, as long as our hunting gear is protected, we're happy. And they're like, that's all you guys care about. You're a bunch of FUDs. As long as you have what you want for the uses you want it for, you don't care about the Second Amendment or anything like that. You just care about hunting and this other stuff. And as long as you have yours, you're happy. That's FUD.
Yeah, and police officers tend to be disproportionately FUDs.
Yeah. And I know people always say, well, all the cops I know are pro-gun. They're pro-guns for the right people and the right type of gun. But ask them if you think people who live in an inner city should be able to have fully automatic rifles.
But you do have to remember, right, and you know this, Yankee, the NRA, that's what they originally started as.
Yeah, they were hunting.
Was a hunting.
Yep.
Hunting and shooting sports type thing.
And they said there's no money. And there was there were 2 groups. One wanted to stay true to what they were. Other group wanted to become more political, defend, be more about the Second Amendment, and probably make more money. And they kind of took over in was it the 70s? And for a while they were, that's what they were. They were, we're going to do what's right for the Second Amendment. But then unfortunately it became more about making money. And that faded away fairly quickly.
But if
most everything is about making money.
Unfortunately.
What I want to understand here is if they're FUDs, wouldn't that shrink the tent as opposed to expanding it?
Well, they didn't care about that. They were a bunch of you know, it's like here locally, we've got one gun shop, and the way he stays in business is he caters to the really rich guys who want to go on hunting trips and shoot an elk, and they want to go shoot a bear and stuff like that. It's big money hunting Fudds, and that's what the NRA kind of was. It was guys who were like, I've got my, $6,000 shotgun, and I want to go shoot skeet, and I want to go shoot bear, and I want to go shoot elk, and all this other stuff. It was hunters, and it was about hunting, and it was kind of a more exclusive organization, and it wasn't about we're making a lot of money, we're forming a lot of policies, we're influencing a lot of politicians. That wasn't what it was about. It was more of a gentleman's hunting club. And it evolved into, well, it went through the process of what it should have been, which was a pro 2A organization for everybody, but then it eventually became an outreach of the Republican Party.
Oh yeah, because there's a way to make money on that. And there was a couple gun shops around here that were like just what you said. They were, if they think you've got money, then they'll be all over it helping you with everything. If they don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah, and they don't want to sell you a cheap gun because we don't make no money off that, no profit off that.
Well, even if you're looking at a decent one, they just, you're a peasant. Because I had that happen, and the guy was there right up until the moment he figured out I owned a Checkmate.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he's like, wait, you own one? Yeah, I have one. And I have one of these and one of these. And then all of a sudden he had time for me. Yeah, it was a little too late at that point.
And I don't like to slam on gun shops because the vast majority of them are good and they have good employees. But one of the great joys of my life, especially when I used to travel more, was go to local gun shops I'd never been in before and listen to all the bullshit they tell me.
Oh yeah.
Just go in, act like you don't own nothing, you don't know nothing, and listen to the bullshit.
They try to get rid of the crap that nobody else wants to buy. So like, oh, here's some naive first-time gun buyer. I'll pawn this off on them.
Or whatever they've got, or whatever they're getting bargains on. Like, a lot of times the Glock will do you sell 3, you get 1 free. So they're like, push the Glocks. Everybody who wants something, they want a Glock. Yep.
Although I understand a little bit in that, let's face it,
80% of their nails.
No. Somebody, what was I going to say? A lot of people go in, buy a gun, shoot it once, and then it goes in the dresser drawer or the safe or wherever, and they never use it again.
Yeah. Well, it comes out again whenever their buddies come over and they want to show them who's got the bigger gun. And that's about it.
Yeah. But some of the bad behavior at the smaller FFLs is what drives people to go to Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, unfortunately.
Oh, Groundbird upgraded his Patreon. I thought I got another patron, but it was Groundbird upgrading his.
Yeah, he just asked me to ask you about it.
Yeah, it just came through over here. Are we done? Was that the last topic, or is there another topic?
No, Walker had like a whole bunch he wants to go through. So,
okay, what are they?
I don't.
Well,
I have one more thing. If nobody else, okay. So, as many of us know, it turns out that the 3 costumed idiots who terrorized the family in Virginia were actually the cousins of the people in the house, and those pranksters could have been shot.
I don't know what we're talking about.
You remember last
2 Fudd Zones ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
which Yankee's not going to remember that.
Yeah, I probably wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. So there were the 3 guys in the costumes that were trying to break into a house, and they were making threats that they were going to bust in if they didn't open the door. Well, it turns out they were the cousins of the people who lived in the house, and eventually they were found out. And I just thought to myself, if somebody in that house had shot one or all of them, it'd be a really tragic thing.
That would make for a fun family reunion after you'd shot 3 of your cousins.
Well, that's all going to depend, because most families have either a matriarch or a patriarch that runs that family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in most cases, when that person finds this out, I would not want to be those 3 kids.
No.
Yeah.
Of course, in my family, I mean, it depends on which cousins you shot, because if you shot some of them, the family would be like, well, that's a problem we don't have to deal with anymore.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I can tell you most of mine, they'd have been like, you know what? You do something that stupid, you deserve to get shot.
Yeah. It's
What
like
were they
enough-
doing exactly? Do we know? I
Yeah, they were
saw the
pulling a
story,
prank.
but I didn't read it.
They were
Which means
pranking their
what?
own relatives who had no idea who they were. They thought they were like legitimately criminals, masked criminals, dressed up as a witch and Michael Myers and a clown. Those were the three costumes. And they were violently jerking the front door. Well, they were recorded by the Ring camera, right? And they were saying, let us in and we're going to break in. Well, if you don't know who's trying to come into your house, of course, you may pick up your gun and point it at the door.
Right. Okay. So
Could have been
yeah,
a real bad
that
tragedy
would be
there.
their fault.
Yeah, but it's still
Well,
because it's within the family. Yeah.
their fault or not, right? That's the thing people don't think about is very few people have actually shot and killed somebody,
Mm-hmm.
right? I happen to know the two people that have. And even though they were both legitimate, it still weighs on them very heavily.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to weigh. It's going to depend a lot on the circumstances, of course. But yeah, if you take somebody's life, and this is why I'm a big person that says I don't kill anything. I don't even kill bugs in my house. I take them outside because I'm a control freak, and I'm one of these people that likes to always have options. And once you kill something, there's no more options. That's it.
Yep.
You can't rescind it. You can't alter it. You can't do anything. So killing somebody to me is a very final thing that takes away your ability to do something different or change what you think. So I avoid it at all costs. Because that could weigh heavily on someone. You kill something, and then you're like, I mean, most of us have done it even with something like on an animal on the road, like you're not paying attention and you run over a squirrel and you feel so bad because if I had been paying attention, I wouldn't have killed that squirrel. So imagine that with a person. Although I don't know if it bothers me as bad with a person as it does with an animal, but so I'm always a person that's like, I don't kill unless I absolutely have to. Now, a lot of people think that means, saying you don't kill means you won't kill. No, a totally different thing. And I can guarantee you that now. But and if you're in a situation where it's someone you don't even know that's trying to harm you and you harm them, you're not going to lose a lot of sleep about it usually. Now, you might feel bad later. Like if you find out, oh, they had a family and now their kid doesn't have a father, all that stuff is something you're going to have to deal with eventually.
Yeah.
So if you avoid it if you can, but sometimes you can't avoid it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that gets to you, right? Is that most cases that person had a family, there was other stuff, right? I mean, you did what needed to be done at the time. You didn't go out of your way to to kill somebody when you didn't have to, but it impacts a lot of things and it's something you can't undo. And it's gonna get there. You have a holiday and you're there with your family and you realize there's a family who doesn't have somebody because I had to shoot them.
Yeah. And if it's not your fault, it's fine. But you're still going to have to deal with that. You're still going to have to be like, well, what could I have done different? What could I have done to not even have been there or whatever? You're going to go through all that stuff. Yep. So unless you're in a place where, you had to be and someone does something to you that you couldn't stop them from doing through no fault of your own, and then you react to them, well, that way you're going to be a little less messed up by it. But in most situations, you're going to second guess what you did. You're going to, even if it's just because I'm going through so much shit legally, or their family hates me, or they're saying this and that, and it's just shit that I'm dealing with. And even if you don't feel sorry for the person, even if you're like, well, they were a scumbag and they shouldn't have done what they did, you still have to feel something for the people who, thought of that person as their good kid or their boyfriend or their dad or whatever. So there is going to be some baggage that comes with it. And if you can't understand that, then you probably shouldn't carry a gun.
Yeah. And another important component in all this is learning from other people's mistakes. Like, for example, George Zimmerman. Just hearing that story makes me never want to walk up to a total stranger and find out what they're doing.
Yeah. Mind your own business.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point. It was none of his damn business.
Yeah. Mind your own business. We're about out of time, it looks like. I don't see any questions coming in or anything I've missed. I think I got everything. I read all the orders. We didn't get a whole lot of donations to Toy Guns for Tots, but if there's anybody out there who wants to donate to Toy Guns for Tots, now you can do it any time of the day because I got it on the website now. So go over to TYMP pistolproject.com, and for every $20 you donate, you'll be entered to win some prizes. We'll let you know what those are later. If you're a Patreon or a Subscribe Star member, I put up polls today so that you could go over and see what a couple of the prize options are, and you can vote on it. I don't know. No one has voted on Subscribe Star yet. I don't know. We don't get a lot of activity on Subscribe Star. We got only a few Subscribe Star members, and the ones that are there don't seem to respond a lot to emails or anything. On YouTube, let me see how where are my posts? Where are my posts? How do I get to my own page with my own posts on them? There it is, I think. Let's see what's winning. It's close still, but if you're someone who's a patron, go over and vote in the poll. I got to decide what we're going to give away as the main prize, and it might be not either any of those three things, but we'll see.
One more thing I'd like to bring up before we go. In the afternoon, Melissa in Jamaica, there's all these people on the ground saying, "Oh, we're so glad we have a Starlink satellite set up." And I remember you, Yankee, saying that Starlink didn't work where you lived.
It works somewhat, but not great. It worked really good at first. Yeah. At first, it was great. Oh, yeah. Now it's intermittent. It cuts out a lot.
Yeah. So those satellites, they have to cycle through. I believe it's a 2 or is it a 3-year cycle? Mm-hmm. 3 to 5, so 2 to 5 years, somewhere in there. The satellites have a lifespan of that. Then they drop out. They have to launch new ones. So you're going to see that periodic up and down unless they shift the satellites to cover somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I just wish they'd get regular high-speed internet out where I live. I just wish they would. But I mean, I'm better off than we were. I used to be paying around $700 a month for 1 meg down and 0.3 up. And that was Usenet and all this other stuff on top of that. And it just made it hard to watch TV. They billed you by the gig. You know, you had unlimited up until you hit 5 gigs, and then it was still unlimited, but they slowed you down to nothing to where you couldn't actually watch a show or anything. So when Starlink came out, it made it to where I can actually watch TV and stuff now. Because even when it goes out, usually like if I'm watching an hour program, it'll go out 10 minutes into it. You'll see the thing start spinning that there's no internet connection, but it will have downloaded enough that it keeps playing until it comes back on and then starts downloading again. And you don't have any interruption in the show. You really notice it more if you're watching like YouTube videos. Like if it's only a 2 or 3 minute video, it doesn't preload as much up front. So you'll get stalls in the middle of your videos sometimes. But if it's a movie, usually you won't even notice that it goes out a few times. Caden must be in the carport. Well, I told him I'd meet him out there after my chat to put the hood scoop back on his car. Because I took it off and painted it, made it all blue. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I want to thank everybody, like I said, that has donated to the Toy Guns for Tots. If you haven't yet, please go do so. Or you can go buy merch for the Toy Guns for Tots. Also, right now, the products are a little pricey, but that's because each purchase is a $17 donation to Toy Guns for Tots, and you will get an entry for that. You got to do 20 if you do cash. You do 17 if you do products. And then you're basically getting the product for cost. So if you want some product, but you still want to donate to Toy Guns for Tots, go over and get something. Still no drawings. Oh, I don't. Well, we didn't get enough people to do a drawing tonight anyway, so we're not worried about that. But yeah, we still don't know what 80. What's his name? The Hilly hasn't let me know which one of the knives he wants. Because I gave him an option too.
He has chats.
Huh?
He hasn't been in the chat.
No, and he isn't answering my emails. So
coin flip.
Yeah, exactly.
Coin flip. and
Eventually,
send
I'll
me
just
the
say,
other
well,
one.
he's getting the one that I choose not to give to somebody else, or he gets the one the other person doesn't choose. But and we didn't get enough tonight. We didn't really do much tonight, so I don't think we got 3 people actually putting in super chats. So thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. I will see everybody again tomorrow. Thanks everybody participated tonight. Tomorrow we'll be back to a normal chat. Will be just me. So come on in. I hope to see you then. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. My alarm keeps going off over here.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Right.
Take care.